Today, we're diving into the most complex and fascinating wiring in the entire universe. And believe it or not, it's built right inside you. We're talking about the nervous system.
We have all been there, right? You're walking around, you step on something sharp like a toy block, and your foot just yanks itself back before you even have a chance to think. So, how does that happen? And more importantly, why is that lightning-fast, painful reaction actually a very, very good thing?
Well, to understand that reflex, we first have to zoom out and look at the massive infrastructure that makes it all possible. The best way to think about it is like your body's very own highly advanced electrical grid.
This entire massive network really boils down to three main players. You've got the brain, which is like the central command center. Then there's the spinal cord. That's the main superhighway for information. And branching off from there, you have all the nerves, the intricate wiring that connects every single part of your body.
So let's zoom in on one of those individual wires, because the real star of the show, the fundamental building block of this whole system, is the neuron.
Now, a neuron is so much more than just a simple wire. It's a tiny, living computer. Its job is to gather information from everything around you, figure out what that information means, and then decide what to do about it.
And each one is perfectly designed for communication. You've got the dendrites, which act like little antennas, catching all the incoming signals. That signal then goes to the cell body, the command center. And if a message needs to be sent, it travels down that long cable, the axon, to be passed on.
But here's the thing. Not all neurons are created equal. They're specialists. You've got sensory neurons. Think of them as your scouts, reporting back from the front lines of your skin, your eyes, your ears. Then you have interneurons. They're the brains of the operation, living in the spinal cord and brain, processing all the data. And finally, you have motor neurons. They're the action heroes, carrying the final orders out to your muscles. Keep these three in mind, because they are crucial to our story.
So how does a signal actually travel down one of those neurons? It's not quite like electricity in a copper wire, it's way cooler. It's a biological chain reaction.
Okay, so when a neuron is just sitting there waiting for a signal, it's basically a tiny charged battery. It works really hard to keep a negative charge on the inside and a positive charge on the outside. But when a signal comes along, everything flips in the blink of an eye.
For a neuron to actually fire, the incoming signal has to be strong enough to hit a certain threshold. Once it does, it kicks off this incredible domino effect. Tiny gates fly open, positive ions rush in, flipping the charge. Then other gates open, and different positive ions rush out, flipping it back. This wave of changing electricity, called an action potential, zips all the way down the axon.
And here's the really important part. A neuron doesn't fire a little bit or a lot. It's binary. If the signal hits that threshold, it fires at 100% strength. If it doesn't, nothing happens at all. It is all or nothing.
But how fast is that signal? Well, it depends. Some of your most important neurons are wrapped in a fatty insulation called a myelin sheath. This stuff is like a supercharger, letting the signal travel up to 150 meters per second. That's what delivers that feeling of sharp, instant pain. Your uninsulated neurons, they're much slower, and they're responsible for that dull, throbbing ache you might feel later on.
The secret to this incredible speed is that the myelin sheath isn't a solid tube. It has these tiny little gaps in it. So instead of traveling down the entire length of the wire, the signal just leaps from one gap to the next. It's like taking an express train that skips all the local stops. Okay, so our signal has raced down the axon at incredible speed. But now what? It's reached the end of the line, and it has to get the message to the next neuron. The only problem is, there's a gap in the way.
This tiny gap is called the synapse. It's a microscopic space, sure, but it's an uncrossable canyon for an electrical signal. The system needed a totally different strategy to get the message across. And that strategy is brilliant. To cross that gap, the system switches from electrical to chemical. When the electrical signal hits the very end of the axon, it triggers the release of these tiny chemical messengers called neurotransmitters. They just flood out into that empty space.
These chemicals then float across the synapse and lock onto the next neuron, which triggers a brand new electrical signal on the other side. So think about it. The message goes from electrical to chemical and back to electrical again. It's an absolutely genius solution. So let's put this all together now. We've got our three types of neurons, we've got our all-or-nothing signal, and we have this amazing chemical jump across the synapse. Let's go back to you stepping on that toy block. What happens in that moment is something called a reflex arc. You can think of it as a pre-programmed high-speed emergency circuit.
Its only job is to get you out of danger and to do it fast. So let's trace that signal, right? 1. A sensory neuron in your skin screams, "Danger!" 2. That signal flies to an inner neuron waiting in your spinal cord. 3. That inner neuron doesn't hesitate. It instantly passes the command to a motor neuron. And 4. The motor neuron shouts at your muscle to contract, pulling your body away from the threat. But did you notice what wasn't involved in that decision? The brain. To save precious milliseconds, this signal takes a shortcut through the spinal cord. Your brain only finds out about the danger after your body is already moving to safety. It's a system built for pure, unadulterated speed.
And that brings us right back to our very first question. Why is that sharp, split-second reaction a good thing? Because it's your body's built-in bodyguard, a high-speed survival system protecting you from serious harm before you can even think about it.
So yeah, reflexes are your body's automatic protectors. But what about all the signals you choose to send? Every single conscious thought, every deliberate movement, from picking up a cup to learning something new, it all uses this very same network. And that is where the true power of your nervous system really begins.